Cam, we're sitting here at Middle Park at the sandbar, enjoying the sun on a beautiful Melbourne day. Just as hot as it would normally be when we race at the Gold Coast, when we go there at the end of October. A different format over the last few years with a lot of internationals being part of it. What are your thoughts on it?
Well, I mean, I personally would love to, be still doing it. I teamed up with Garth in 2010. However, I agree with the philosophy of bringing out some internationals. I really, I think the interest...
Ride internationals.
Yeah, that's the critical bit too, Chris, I reckon. You need to have the internationals that the Aussies can relate to. If it's someone that races in the middle of the pack in DTM or GT racing, I don't know if that's exactly what we need. We need to get the high-profile internationals, and I know they're not going to be cheap to bring them out, make sure it fits with their racing calendar. Even some ex-F1 greats would be fantastic, which we have a couple of them currently, that run in the category like Morbidelli, guys that I sort of watched, as a youngster. I think this year was a bit embarrassing, the start line incidents. I mean, Thomas Mazzera said to all the guys in the driver's briefing, it's very narrow off the start. If you don't get a bad start or you bog down, stay in a straight line and be very cautious until you get into turn one. So even guys with massive amount of experience can make mistakes. But I think that did a bit of damage to the race, so it'll be very interesting to see what happens going forward with whether we have Aussies back in the car or a bit of a mixture.
But surely we can't nurse the internationals through it and just give them the middle stint. They've got to be good enough and have enough time behind the wheel and at the test day to perfect or get close to perfection as far as making a good start's concerned. It's not impossible because we see the good guys, Sebastian Bourdais, etc., they all do it.
Yeah, look, one way to maybe or to combat the start line would be to perhaps make it a hard tyre race only, because with the hard tyre, you can at least spin the tyre up and get some momentum going, whereas with the soft, if you heat it up, and they're all doing a lot of practice starts, and the cars just bog down. Same when they run the handbrake or the line locker off the start line, very easy to stall the car. So I don't know on the test day how many actual practice starts they did, but they probably did them on the hard tyre, then they go on fresh softs, and of course all chaos break loose. So I hope the event stays. I like that we get the right kind of internationals, high profile ones, and we sort of work on perhaps giving them an extra test day or something, so we just don't get a repeat of what happened in 2012.
And if we only get 16 good internationals, then there's some pretty good local guys who could jump in.
I'm sure there'll be plenty putting their hands up. But, the year that Garth and I won, the next day, Steve Owen, won with Jamie Whincup. That obviously helped him get a seat the next year. So, the track can bite you hard, but it's a fantastic circuit. I like what they've done with shortening it. And let's hope that it continues to be a successful event.
Tweaking, not changing is the key.
Yeah, I agree, absolutely.
I think the international component has worked well over the last sort of 2 seasons. We've had some extremely competent drivers, some big names from all around the world. Clearly the last couple of years our biggest problem there has been the circuit, hasn't necessarily been the drivers. If we can keep that under control, and this year was a lot better, then I think there's still mileage in that format.
It's definitely interesting. I think maybe they should qualify for their race and they have their own race and then we have a race. But, it's produced good racing the last couple of years and it's a bit of an international flair on it, but it's always room for changing. They're always chopping and changing things, so can't see it staying the same for too long.
Well, I think if you ask the team owners, they'd say yes. I think the punters loved it, although, us as drivers, when we're fighting for a championship and that round does go towards our championship, that can really throw your opportunity out of fighting for it. So I think us as drivers, we'd probably prefer the primary drivers to start the car. For me, Simon did a great job there, and I'd have him start every time if he wanted, but there's other guys that don't do many starts, and that's when the problems occur.
I think it should stay. I think it's great when all international drivers come out and drive our cars. I think the start of the race, it should be compulsory to start your lead driver and take us away from some of the carnage that we saw at the start of this year and force the teams to build a strategy around starting their lead driver.
I mean, clearly it's working quite well. I mean, it always seems to be entertaining, and I guess that's what we have to put it down to is it entertaining to our fans, and they seem to enjoy it because it's always not the same people winning, and there's always things changing in the race. So I think with the circuit itself, we need to tweak it, and I guess just have some clear-cut rules so, we don't have blokes cutting corners and things like that. And I think they did a good job this year of, fixing the back chicane and things like that. So few little tweaks, but it's definitely one of the events, that everyone enjoys going to, in terms of all the blokes working the team. And clearly the race fans love it because they keep coming back too.
The format's really good. I think it highlights how good our drivers are and our teams are, because you know, there's some pretty good guys that come out and they struggle in our cars. Can't even get them off the line. So yeah, I think the format's good. Shows how good we are. Obviously, there's a few standouts with the internationals which get the job done. So and it does the job for the Queensland government. It brings huge exposure to the state and to the town.